Well, let's move then to the application process. Maybe close out. We'll close out with talking about how to choose maybe what law school. But first, the application process. You know, GPA, LSAT. There's a thing called a personal statement now on most law school applications. It seems to be something that students are interested in talking about. How do you go about, or what advice do you give your students on doing a personal statement and setting? You know, you want students to set themselves apart without being just out in left field.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought the personal statement, because after the GPA and LSAT, it's probably the third most important component of the application. And when I talk to students about the personal statement, I try to make sure that they realize two things about it. And the easier thing to talk about is that it's just a writing sample. And so it needs to be your best writing, you know, grammatically correct.
It's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, just no misspellings, no typos, great sentence structure, paragraphs that flow.
Edited, polished, written and rewritten, written and rewritten.
This is something you should, you know, it's only 2 pages or so, you know, double spaced, so it's not a lot, but you should spend a lot of blood, sweat, and tears working on that thing.
Absolutely.
And even though it's personal, as you said, don't just keep it private. Share it with others who you think are good editors, who know you well, in terms of seeing if this really reflects who you are, because that leads to the second part of the second purpose of the personal statement, is that most law schools won't interview you, and so this takes the place of an interview and acts as a proxy for just learning who you are as a person beyond all these numbers in your transcript and whatnot. And so what I talk to students is what do you want to tell the admissions people about you that they really can't get just from even looking at your resume, because you don't want to sort of just repeat your resume. What you want to do is tell them something about who you are as a person. Has there been some sort of experience in your life that's been changing? Has there been challenges in your life that you've had to overcome? And to talk about those things, and often to incorporate, you know, a story or a narrative as part of it to make it interesting.
Yeah.
You know, not to talk about, and to make it personal in the sense of, obviously not too personal, but to make it personal, so it's not about, you know, an essay on what you think about the law, or it's not, you know, something sort of abstract like that.
More like a narrative about who you are, what you've done.
Exactly.
Something that describes you.
Exactly. And at the Wheaton College pre-law website, wheaton.edu/pre-law, I've got about 10 samples of personal statements that Wheaton College students have done. So you can see ones that have written by actual students, because sometimes you look at the books on, you know, how to write a great personal statement. They're very intimidating. You know, it says how you saved a village in a developing country from the tsetse fly or something. And students come to me to sort of traumatize, saying, I don't have a story like that at all. And you don't have to have a story like that. But can you tell a story about yourself that would, in an interesting way, that would make a reader who's reading lots of files pause for a moment and say, oh, yeah, this person is someone who is self-aware. They understand influences in their life. They understand how they've changed as a person. I've seen growth and development. They've seen growth and development in themselves.
Yeah, good, excellent. That's excellent advice. And be careful with going over the top.
Absolutely.
You know, my only weakness is I work too hard.
Yeah,
I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
Or I did save a village.
No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to. Humor can be very risky.
Yeah.
Weird things like poems and stuff like that.
Stay away from the poetry.
You know, things that are so personal that people might feel a little just sort of nervous or creepy about. You want to stay away from that too.